Alan Page is truly one of a kind. He was born in the town he would later be enshrined in, is also in the College Football Hall of Fame, became a lawyer while still playing in the NFL, then later became a judge. And not just a judge, he was one that was elected to a Supreme Court. He got cut from an NFL team for running too much. He was the first defensive player to win NFL MVP. He played in 4 Super Bowls, won a national championship, and his pinky looks like this. He was an NFL broadcaster. He has honorary doctorates from 11 colleges and universities. He writes children's books. Deeply loved and honored his wife, has a Presidential Medal of Freedom, and has schools named after him. And none of this is even the most admirable thing he's ever accomplished. The word extraordinary doesn't even do him justice. This is the story of Alan Page, and you will be better for having heard it. Fall is my favorite season. Leaves, football, getting that last bit of outside in before it gets too cold. And the best part about the brisk fall weather is listening to your music and not other people yapping. Raycon's everyday earbuds now feature active ergonomic design, and multi-point connectivity allows you to pair 2 devices at once, like your laptop and your phone. So when you are inside, you don't have to switch between devices. They also come in a variety of colors and styles. I went with the blue ones, and they are great to use in the gym. And if you have an outdoor area, they are perfect in this fall weather. Check out all these other great features. 32 hours of battery life with a new quick charge function that gets you 90 minutes of battery life in 10 minutes. Active noise cancellation, customized sound profiles, and IP66 weather and sweat resistance, all at half the price of the other guys. So after this video, go to buyraycon.com/5 points to get 20 to 50% off your order plus free shipping. Again, that's buyraycon.com/5 points to get 20 to 50% off your order plus free shipping. Sometimes fairy tale stories start with perfect beginnings. Alan Page was born in 1945 in Canton, Ohio. Yep, you heard that right. He was born in the same town as the Pro Football Hall of Fame, even before it was built. Page's mother was a country club locker room attendant, while his father founded a saloon with gambling in the back room. Page says his parents taught him some very important things at a young age. Education was the key to a better life, and you should always do your best, no matter what others do. Page would say of his dad, "My father's skill with numbers when it came to gambling was phenomenal. I have often wondered where he could have ended up had he applied it elsewhere." It won't shock you he did many memorable things during his high school days at Canton Central Catholic High School. Page was a multi-sport star while playing for the Crusaders, but he also worked for a construction company, a company that helped build the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Showing up at Notre Dame, Page was used to being in the spotlight from his high school days, but felt uncomfortable in some ways. He was on an all-male and almost all-white campus. He had only a few teammates who were black, and none of his coaches were. Looking back at his Notre Dame days, he says he felt shy and lonely. He was a 6'4" defensive end, but also weighed nearly 240 pounds, making him quite slender off the edge, but he had the speed to make up for it. It's clear with most everything in his life, Page was a trailblazer. During Page's time with the Fighting Irish, he helped lead the team to a 25-3-2 record, including a national championship in his senior year. And he was named an All-American. It wouldn't be a surprise that the pros came calling. He was a first-round pick in the 1967 NFL/AFL draft, going 15th overall to the Minnesota Vikings. In the land of 10,000 lakes, he teamed up with Jim Marshall, Carl Eller, and Gary Larson to form the legendary defensive line known as the Purple People Eaters. Naturally, he won Rookie of the Year in 1967. As a member of the Minnesota Vikings from 1967 through 1978, Page won the NFL championship in the final year before the AFL-NFL merger, and he was the league-wide MVP as a defensive player, the first to ever do it. He was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time first-team All-Pro, and became a 9-time Pro Bowler. Now, I can't lie to you, it wasn't all roses during his time in Minnesota. Page played in 4 Super Bowls, losing all 4 of them, and they weren't particularly close. Also, during his playing career, he dislocated his pinky so many times. Let's just say it didn't heal correctly. That's okay, as you will see, Page's accomplishments on the gridiron are probably the lowest on his list, and that's not to minimize them. During his NFL career, Page became an avid runner, even competing in marathons and an ultra marathon. This doesn't sound crazy for an athlete, well, maybe, but when you add in the fact that he was already small for his position, it made him even smaller. Now, instead of the 250 pounds he got up to in his pro days, he was down to 225 pounds, 15 pounds less than he showed up at Notre Dame. Vikings legendary head coach Bud Grant was less than happy about this, so Alan Page was actually cut from the team he became a legend on. Page would later say he took up running while helping his wife quit smoking, something commonplace at the time, like vaping is now. And please stop vaping. The release came as really bad timing for Page, as there is something I forgot to tell you. He was in law school at this point and had just flunked the bar exam as well. Yep, you heard me right. This NFL All-Pro was in law school while he was still playing. In an age where players are pampered and take their careers for granted, Alan Page sought to leverage his success on the field as a means for a better and more fulfilling life once his playing days were over. And yes, more on this lawyer stuff later. But Page rebounded nicely, passing the bar on his second try and getting scooped up by the Vikings division rival, the Chicago Bears. With the Windy City Cats, Page continued a streak of 218 consecutive games without an absence. To put that into context now, a player would need to play for almost 13 straight seasons to tie Alan Page's mark. And he didn't slow down with age. In Page's last career game, still playing at only 225 pounds, he got 3.5 sacks. Talk about going out with a bang. At this point, this shouldn't shock you, but Page was a major NFL Players Association leader in a time where it was not easy to be one. Union leaders were usually cut or traded often, but Page didn't care, as he helped fight for better pay, better benefits, and free agency for other NFL players. He was a fighter both on and off the field, and it paved the way for his justice career. As great as Page's story is on the field, it's just as good off of it. For most NFL players during the offseason, they travel, train, and party, or break into a house and get hit with vacuum cleaners before they finally leave. But not Alan Page. He started working at a Minneapolis law firm during the offseason. After laying the groundwork, he was appointed Special Assistant Attorney General before becoming Assistant Attorney General. These aren't light appointments. Working for the Attorney General in this capacity is actually a big deal. Seems like plenty to accomplish, right? But Alan Page wasn't done. In 1992, he was elected to the Minnesota Supreme Court, making him the first African American to serve in the role. He held the position for over 20 years, only retiring because of age requirements. That seems like a novel concept. Page is a family man who met his wife Diane in 1973 and stayed by her side until she passed in 2018. Together, they established many foundations and organizations, including the Page Education Foundation and the Diane and Alan Page Collection. His educational foundation helps children both financially and with mentoring in exchange for community service where they live. Together with his daughter Kami, he has written 4 children's books supporting the foundation, even one about his messed up pinky. In 2018, he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Page, while still alive today, has created a legacy that will last for centuries. In 2017, a middle school in Minneapolis was renamed to the Justice Page Middle School. If one wasn't enough, in 2020, another Minnesota school announced they would be changing their name to honor him, this time Justice Alan Page Elementary School, which opened in 2022. Every year, Page helps organize the Twin Cities Marathon and humbly plays his sousaphone to cheer on the runners. That's the thing about Page that's understated. Do you know what an ultra marathon is? Usually they are 50 to 60 miles of non-stop running, and Alan Page actually ran one. There is so much willpower, physical and mental toughness that need to be had to run that great of a distance and not give up. That, to me, is the craziest of his many, many accomplishments. Hard work, dedication, and a true commitment to the greater good. Alan Page is without a doubt one of a kind.